I was initially not particularly impressed with the new Regiment of Renown Enormous Bear for Kislev, but on further inspection, I think it's pretty decent. I think the price is still quite a bit to pay, and it's very vulnerable to armor-piercing missiles against factions which have that, but in a context where you can expect a blob, and against factions without armor-piercing missiles, certainly Domination against Bretonnia is that circumstance, could potentially do quite well today. This replay from the Luik on Discord. Yeah, we've got a bear coming in with a Patriarch, Ice Switch, we've got some Kossars initially, Zargard, one of them, a Streltsy, and then already some Armored Kossars looks like coming out of reserves for Bretonnia. King Lewin with some Royal Hippogriff Knights. Pretty unusual choice, but very cool. Some Battle Pilgrims, Pox, arrows there and there, some Peasant Mobs, more Battle Pilgrims for capture weight, and some Blessed Field Trebuchet in the back. Very interesting. Let's take a look at the reserve armies as well. For Kislev's reserves, they've got a single War Bear Rider, a Little Grom, the Regiment of Renown Zargard, Dawes Heartblades, 5 Kossars with Great Weapons, Armored Kossars with Great Weapons, 2 Kossar Spears. For the Bretonnian reserves, they've got a Damsel of Life, 4 Knights of the Realm, 3 Foot Squires, 3 Archers, 2 with Poison, and 5 Peasant Mobs. And we're back to it. So, yes, the Bears. Bears blobbing. Bear blobs. Bear blobs have historically been quite strong for Kislev, and certainly the Elemental Bears, Frostbite and Chilling Aura helps lock units into that bear blob. Then the RoR also has a single-use Bound Heart of Winter. This is just Heart of Winter, same damage output as a regular casted Heart of Winter, which is pretty significant. The fact that the bear blob, the bear also debuffs the blob speed, of course, will help lock them in and keep them from escaping. This spell does take a while to charge up to get to its higher damage output levels, so you definitely don't want units escaping during that time. Certainly with the Chilling Aura and Frostbite, this big frosty boy can keep them locked in during that time. But Bretonnians slowly advancing here. Royal Hippogriff Knights and Lewin in a surround certainly could deal some pretty good armor-piercing damage to this big bear. That said, against Bretonnia, I mean, they don't historically have the best armor-piercing anti-large tools. Certainly, like Questing Knights would be dangerous. Henri, the Massif would be quite dangerous. But in general, they don't have that great of armor-piercing tools. Certainly, peasants with halberds, men-at-arms with halberds, that is, aren't super scary. And like here, you can see, despite being pretty well surrounded, the bear is doing just fine. Does get Heart of Winter. I believe that's the Bound Heart of Winter. If we actually look at the Ice Switch here, she's also got Heart of Winter, which will make things a little bit confusing, but that does mean Kislev can kind of use one after the other to a degree and really get some great damage output there. Yeah, pretty much one unit of Battle Pilgrims completely down. Zargard continuing to grind it out as well. Did some pretty good damage to the Hippogriff Knights also. Nothing too crazy, but it looks like here we're going to see the casted. Okay, so that first one was from the big bear. Let's see value damage-wise what that did for him. Yeah, 1100 damage value already, which is pretty good. I mean, certainly he would need to fight in combat quite a bit more to make up his full value, but the Ice Switch is going to support him there, and the Patriarch also fighting alongside will be able to heal him quite efficiently with that Dawes Brazier, keep his vigor nice and fresh as well. That said, from a Domination perspective, we kind of take a look at the battlefield situation here. Bears charging in, they get a rear charge on the Knights of the Realm, who had gotten a rear charge on these Kossar Spears. The Trebuchet also raining in some really nice fire. So far, neither player has gone to contest objective number 1, which is definitely a mistake. Some light cavalry on either side, you know, either mounted yeomen or Kossars, right, or Kossar by dervishes. Either one could have very quickly gone and captured this objective, and I would always recommend in any Domination game that you take at least a couple of units of light cavalry specifically for that purpose, just to quickly get on objectives and kind of pressure your opponent into sending reinforcements that way. But anyway, back to the big single entity bear fighting hippogriffs. He is still fighting hippogriffs, and the hippogriffs, when they're in a surround like this, are actually going to perform quite a bit better. It seems like some of the unit models are still fighting with Zargards, and the high defense of the Zargards is definitely coming to tell here. Nice charge from the bear cavalry as well, slamming into the hippogriffs and should be finishing them off with their anti-large AP damage. We've got some Knights of the Realm charging in here, going to get countercharged by the bear riders there. Lewin also dives down, is going to try and snipe this Ice Switch here. with the bow fire as well, these Pox arrows should just be focusing consistently on the massive single entity there, of course. But another Heart of Winter going to be cast here. Should finish off these Battle Pilgrims. Piddle them out, yes, as the Eye Switch continues to flee from Lewin. Kind of retreating back towards spear support's definitely smart. And not only that, but you're going to drag Lewin past these Streltsy, who then turn to fire there. It looks like Scroll of Shielding on those Hippogriff Knights. Probably going to see a regrowth, assuming that this live caster brought out of reserve does have it. No, it looks like just Awakening of the Wood and Earthblood, so Earthblood's going to be best case scenario. In that case, you would want to form up, but oh man, the Eye Switch just gets straight sniped by Lewin super hard. Kind of not terribly surprising. She definitely wanted to stay near the bear blob, I think, rather than trying to run to the spears for support, just run back towards the bear blob, but it's all good. Lewin's going to come in and try and finish off some of these armored Kossars. He's not fighting on the objective, though, and again, there's just the one peasant mob trying to capture here. Knights of the Realm move to block those Kossar spears, but it looks like the Daw's Heartblade's being brought in now to put an elite presence up there. Bretonnian infantry really won't be able to hold a candle to them. They'll have to dedicate some more powerful units to take them out, but we'll see how it goes for them. The Streltsy getting some really nice value. They've got 2,000 value already just from shooting Lewin in this fight. For the Bretonnian player, Lewin definitely just needs to dive on the Streltsy directly, but the bear is also lurking nearby, so it is quite a dangerous situation for him. Really, he should just get out of here and go like fight on this objective, try and support these peasant mobs, route those Kossar spears. It looks like he's going to go do just that, as the Daw's Heartblades instead switch onto that center objective, try and hold there. But the Bear Cavalry got pretty overextended. It looks like the Hippogriff Knights retreated all the way back into the woods here near their own deployment. The Bear Cav now are going to get fairly overextended against the Bretonnians and dragged down by significant outvaluing Knights of the Realm. Yeah, Foot Squires there, all going to do some pretty solid damage. Bear, though, is relentless and very much getting close to its healing cap, which means the Patriarch's done a good job of healing it, although right now the Patriarch's going off on an expedition on his own on that side objective there. Let's see how it gets on. Both these players still in a pretty good position in terms of tickets, but army damage value-wise, Bretonnian's actually slightly ahead as well, which does surprise me. Battlefield situation, they definitely need to get some good control here and try and make sure they maintain capture weight. But right now, Lewin helping to route those Kossars helps to maintain this objective just with a mob. Very cost-effective use of said mobs. Archer's also a little bit kind of over-blobbed here. You'd want to get them and spread them out here so that they could all fire, you know, cleanly and get good firing arcs on that big bear. But right now, Pox arrows getting routed off here, and peasant mobs aren't going to be able to hold versus Patriarch, let alone Patriarch plus armored Kossars, so these are looking pretty good for Kislev. We'll maybe fast forward a tiny bit through this mid-game as Kislev kind of advances on some objectives. We get the Kossars moving in against the peasant mobs over on this far side here. Armored Kossars should fairly easily be able to outcap, but in the center, this little block of Zargard's going to get charged by Foot Squires. And the Streltsy in a position to continue firing. Man, this single MLG Streltsy, I have to say, has got some insane value. 23, 34. Hasn't got that much since they shot up Lewin, but still. Poison Archers raining in on the Zargards, but as well as the Foot Squires would do into just regular Zargards, not going to do too well when it comes to the bear. And looks like Lewin's going to go for a very brave bear snipe, get support of these Knights of the Realm in a big surround here, but then the Patriarch also charges in on his own smaller bear, and those Streltsy bullets, you can see them streaming in as well, hitting Lewin in the back as he fights, the bear being distracted, fighting the Knights of the Realm. A couple of more Hippogriff Knights also move in, we've got Foot Squires moving in, and the RoR Zargard, Sword of Corone being popped, debuffing the melee defense of everything. So it's just a big pitched engagement right now for both sides. Yeah, with that Sword of Corone, those Daw's Heartblades are actually going to be taking some damage from the Foot Squires, but of course the healing of the Patriarch should help them sustain through that. And yeah, Streltsy getting some really good shots on Lewin right now. The speed debuff also means that Lewin's going to have a relatively hard time escaping from this situation should the bear, you know, turn to fire on him. We've got the Warbear Riders resummoned now, already eating up some more value. They are on their way to paying for themselves twice, but not quite there yet. Kossar's also set up a great defensive position right here, and all of a sudden, despite the army damage value still being pretty even, battlefield situation-wise, it seems like, and this comes a little bit down to Bretonnia's terrible capture weight situation, just seems like Kislev's doing a good job. A little bit of stutter stepping here from the bear as it tries to find its animation set. Let's see. Gets a nice swipe on Lewin there. Will it actually turn to fight Lewin specifically? If it does, it could actually take him down pretty quickly, but right now it's just perpetually getting distracted by these knights. I guess it views them as somehow more threatening than Lewin, but definitely taking some significant damage. The Kislev player does have enough to resummon his Ice Switch right now, and I would imagine he's still got plenty of Winds of Magic left on the table, so you'd probably want to do so, but smart of Lewin to try and snipe the Patriarch. In fact, if I were in the Bretonnian player's shoes right here, I would just keep Lewin glued to that Patriarch right now and try and finish him off, but it looks like a few of the Dawes Heartblades were actually in base contact with Lewin, managed to rout him off, which is going to be a big disaster. It loses his physical resistance. It's pretty much heal capped anyway, so probably should just get resummoned if he comes back from rout, but yeah, the big bear just kind of taunting Lewin as he runs off. Still taking lots of poison arrows. That 90 armor certainly does help resist. And with Lewin all of a sudden gone, another big Heart of Winter going to be cast here, although most of these peasants probably aren't going to get away in time. They are down to only 23 speed with the Heart of Winter upgraded. Foot Squires also should be finished off here. Damsel of Life suddenly in a very precarious situation. Much distress to be had there. Warbear Riders smashing into, mauling some Foot Squires there as well. So Kislev now, again, still not a decisive gold damage value lead, but still battlefield control lead and plenty of supply left to macro in some more units. Big Bear continuing to just clean up here, and the archers doing their best to focus fire, but a relative lack of accuracy and the fact that they're, again, sort of all blobbed up here means they're not firing as efficiently as they could be. Had they been spread out appropriately, they maybe could have finished off the Big Bear by now, but likewise, the Blessed Field Trebuchet maybe should also be shooting the Warbear Riders or the Dawes Heartblades here, but it's okay. You know, it's definitely firing at something, which is better than just not shooting at all. And it has managed to accrue some value, but we come back to the capture weight, right? Like, Lewin, the Trebuchet, right? They're not really going to help you cap here. And this Bretonnian player did still have some Foot Squires and Battle Pilgrims. I think they probably needed some Squires in their openings and just more Squires overall. But it's a tough one for sure. Definitely some light cavalry would have helped also. And maybe some of the cheaper knights, but it's hard to say. It's an interesting matchup for sure. I don't know how much this Big Bear actually changes this matchup. I mean, bears were already fairly solid here, in my opinion, assuming, you know, you could force kind of a blob fight with Bretonnians, which often you can with, like, the Enchantress and such. Henri and Gotrek, obviously, or Henri and another Paladin would be quite dangerous to this Big Bear, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'd have to actually see some more games with that kind of a build and see how well it performs in that situation. But certainly looks quite promising. Lewin's going to go for one more glorious dive and just gets killed by the bear, who himself is very much approaching his own demise. There you go. Got to nom some more Bretonnians before, as the Dawes Heartblades press forward, utilizing the terror of the bear to push back those knights. Now advancing through the woods here. The other thing, too, is this little wooded sort of copse here is blocking a lot of the Trebuchet shots, a lot of the archer shots as well. Trebuchet needs to come up on this actual ridge to be able to get clean shots in there. Bretonnian's going to throw in the towel, but a very good performance from that giant single entity bear. 300 kills, tanked out a huge amount of damage, was a giant distraction piece, and just generally seems like it's going to be tough for Bretonnia to deal with. The Ice Witch also managed to get some pretty good value on a couple of Heart of Winter casts. Patriarch getting some good value fighting, and also, of course, healing the bear. Very important, getting that bear to its healing cap. And somehow this one clutch Strelts unit did manage to pass 3,000 damage value. Very impressive stuff. A lot of that comes from shooting Lewin, so it may be a little overinflated, perhaps. But Kossar Spears proved to be fairly cost-effective here as well. I love the pick of the Dawes Heartblades, especially on this relatively cramped map. And then the Warbear Riders feasted twice. For Bretonnia, again, I maybe cut the Trebuchet, even though it paid for itself. I think, yeah, just capture weight-wise, it could have been a little bit better. And just in terms of having some light cavalry, you know, just having some more options, having some more squires and whatnot. I mean, the Hippogriffs didn't end up paying for themselves. It's a cool unit, don't get me wrong. It can be very strong against Kislev situationally, given their sort of weakness to flying units. But I would think that Lewin's probably enough power in that department, and then you'd probably want to take Henri and alongside, and then, again, maybe some more squires, or maybe the mounted yeoman or two. Not really sure. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Certainly a very interesting one, and I look forward to seeing some more games with this Frozen Heart of Winter. If you guys do enjoy this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.